Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Ryan with Iowa Classic Cars, and welcome back to the channel. I am back from my 2-month-long hiatus. It's been pretty dang cold here in Iowa, a couple good snowstorms, and not much to do and not much to buy on Facebook Marketplace. So, just been hanging out, kind of embracing the cold, waiting for spring to get here. But in the meantime, I've been thinking about trying to sell a couple of my cars that have just been sitting around here. And this is the first one up. This is a 1961 Buick Electra 225 convertible. The cool thing about this car, other than the fact that it's a 225, so top of the line, longest car you could get in 61, it also has GM hardback bucket seats. We'll talk about those here a little bit more in a minute. I bought this car about 1.5 years ago out of Boone, Iowa. You know, kind of had plans for it, but now that I have a 59 Impala convertible hiding behind the car here, this one needs to go and let someone else do something with it. The car did run when I bought it about 1.5 years ago. The accelerator pump was not working, so it would not idle, and it's just been sitting ever since. The car did come with a new top, which is good, but you know, the car's got quite a bit of rust in the floor, which obviously pretty common for a GM convertible, but it's got this, hidden rust. And I'm sure once you took it apart, you'll find a little more body work than the average guy wants to take on. However, it is a 61 GM convertible, so still very desirable. Someone will fix this car for sure. And the bucket seats are worth more than the car. I mean, if you wanted to be cheap with it, you'd sell those bucket seats for a couple $1,000 and put a bench in this car, restore this car, and rock and roll. So the aspect of today's, or the goal of today's video is to get on camera that it does run. The car, I did actually fire it up here just to make sure nothing was locked up and I didn't need to order any points before I filmed a point in this video, and it does run, but the accelerator pump is still bad. So we'll get a good shot of this thing running today. This is a 401 Buick Nailhead. This is the biggest engine you could have gotten in 61. I believe 63 was the first year of the 425. Nonetheless, though, 225 convertible. It's the longest car they made. I do have a 60 Buick as well outside. It's a 225 as well. It's a 4-door Riviera sedan. But I'm going to go outside quick and then kind of explain what the Electra 225 actually is. Okay, so here's my 60 Buick Electra 225. 4-door hardtop Riviera sedan. This is the highest option Buick you could have got. It's just underneath the Cadillac, but it's got the Cadillac style four-post roof line there. It's not a flat top, but it's got that Cadillac Riviera roof line. So the thing with Electras is they are longer wheelbase than a standard LeSabre or Invicta. And I don't know if it's 225 only or just Electra and Electra 225, but the front doors are 42.5 inches long, whereas a standard, 59, 60 GM car is 38.5. So they're about 3 to 4 inches longer in the front. The back doors are all the same. They are 33.5 inches. But a 225, if you look here at the quarter panel, the 225 is longer in the quarters as well. And that's how you get the long wheelbase, the long look of an Electra 225. So the frames are 225 only. And this one, unfortunately, has a bad frame. But this one's going to be sold tomorrow to a guy up in Minnesota and used as a parts car. I've taken all the good options off this car. Power seat, power vent windows, air conditioning, all that good stuff. But, all the stainless trim, all that cool stuff is still there. So he's getting a good car for sure. All right, with that being said, let's go fire up the Buick inside the shop here. And if you guys haven't noticed, I bought a new GoPro. The last few videos I've had, the videos have been really stuttery and shaky, and I just got tired of editing it. I'm sure you guys got tired of watching it. So I bought a GoPro 13 and got some new audio. So let me know how it sounds and how it looks. Here's a familiar face. Hey, bud. Felix the cat, he's been inside for a month or so with how cold it's been, so he's glad to be outside. But anyways, let's go back to the 61 Buick and let's get it to run again. All right, couple of things to note. Like I said, the accelerator pump is bad, so the car runs awesome when you have the pedal down, but as soon as it idles, it dies. In addition to that, I had to take the choke rod off because the choke is stuck, and you can adjust it here. The spring is still good, but the little rod right there is stuck tight. So carburetor definitely needs a rebuild. It's a quadrajet, or I believe it's a quadrajet. Maybe it's an old style Carter, but nonetheless, it looks like a Edelbrock, not a quadrajet. And you know, these carbs can be got at Napa, O'Reilly's, you know, wherever, fairly reasonable, just a brand new one, or if you want to rebuild this one. I'm not going to tear it apart. It runs, you know, let the next guy, he might, you know, pull this engine and do an LS for all we know. So with that being said, I'm going to hook up all this good stuff here, and we're going to try to get this bad boy to run on the camera. All right, so I've got kind of a system here, is that I let my fuel pump run for a little bit, probably 15 or so seconds to kind of get it going. In addition, you guys will see here, the original fuel pump still works, and it's pushing some nasty varnish gas into this, into that old bottle. I don't want that going in the carb. I don't want to make it any more messy than I have to. But that works out pretty good. A couple pumps here. Close the choke since the choke is stuck. And if all goes right in the world, it should fire off. Yeah, see, it dies as soon as you you let off the pedal. So the accelerator pump is probably just dirty. But if you're going to redo this car and do it right, you need to rebuild the whole thing. All right, I'm going to stay in the car this time and try to run the foot feed. Come on. What's funny is before I set the camera up, I was messing with this car for probably, I don't know, probably 20 minutes. And I got a really good shot of it running. It sounded awesome. Probably about 1200 RPM, and I can hear the bowl filling up, which is good. Wonder if I just adjust the idle up a little bit, if it'll stay running. I mean, it's a little bit of throttle. One can hope, anyways. Oh, my bottle came loose. Don't want that. Must have been spraying for a little while because it's all wet down there. And I didn't catch it. Come on, old girl, stay running. It's got plenty of fuel in it. But what if I keep I'll just keep the fuel pump on. That dang choke is gonna fight me here the whole time. All right, let's try it again. Oh. Got a short. There we go. Ah. So yeah, she definitely runs pretty good. It's spitting and popping a little bit. But, you know, this car is an original car. Never been restored, never been rebuilt. And, you know, it's got its problems. But keeping the choke closed all the way is definitely what this car likes. So I did back the throttle off a little bit. Let's turn it up now, just a half turn. Maybe that'll keep it running. Turn the fuel pump on again. So I wouldn't say this video is a will it run, because obviously I knew it was going to run, but it's just, will it stay running? All right, let's try to get it going one more time here, and we'll talk about the bucket seats. You know what, guys? The car needs a tune-up. It needs a carburetor rebuild, and needs the radiator flushed. And I think for the purpose of trying to sell this car and saying that the motor does run, that is a accurate and fair statement. Sure, it needs new spark plugs, new spark plug wires, carb rebuilt. Cap is pretty dusty, dirty. Probably use a good one, or a good freshening up there. Maybe changing out the points. Maybe they're close to getting burned out. But yeah, it runs good. It just, it doesn't run good. So, with that being said, let's talk about the bucket seats, which is the cool piece of this car. All right, so in addition to the power windows on this car, which the fronts try to work, but they don't go down all the way or up all the way. This car has factory GM hardback bucket seats. The super rare thing about this one, the driver's side only, is it's power forward and backward right there on the door panel. But these are pretty cool because they don't fold sideways and they don't have a ton of adjustment to them. They fold straight forward. and they're steel. You can tell it's a GM hardback because of the ribs here. Now, these were not offered on Chevrolet, but they were on high-end Pontiacs, Buicks, Olds, and Cadillacs from 58 to 61. I've got a set, kind of hard to see, but right there, out of a 59 Pontiac Bonneville convertible. And I was keeping those for my pink two-door hardtop Impala, but I'm not really sure what the plan is for that car anymore. However, these are super, super rare. I don't have a definitive number on how many of these sets were made, but Cadillac would differ because they would have a piece of trim right here. So if you're putting together a 59, 60, 61 Barrett's convertible or a Seville, hardtop Cadillac, and you want these seats and want them correct, you have to find that trim. Which, good luck finding the seats, let alone finding the trim for the seats. Something else that's super trick about these seats is that the bottom pad comes right out. These are a little crusty and in need of rebuild. But there is the power motor for the seat, power forward and backward. Same with the bottom, or the top section here. I'm not going to take this one out because it's a little harder to get to. But the upper portion comes right out as well. And you can get to the seat bolts, which is a lot nicer and way improved from a standard bench seat of the era. Because trying to get them bolts out is a real pain in the butt. So yeah, not pretty cool. These are really, really super cool. The console is missing. It would have been a wooden console wrapped in vinyl. But honest to God, the seats in this condition are probably about $3,000 to $4,000. So you buy this car, you don't want this fancy schmancy stuff. You pull the seats out, you sell them, and then you buy a bench seat for $300 to $400, slap it in here, and you get the car a little cheaper. Even though it needs a lot of love. I would keep the bucket seats personally, but that's just me. So obviously I can barely get the car to stay running. We're not gonna be driving this thing today. It does also have no brakes and no cooling system. And trying to sell it, I am asking $9,500 for this car. For reference, if this was a 61 Impala convertible, it'd probably be 25, 30 grand. So the Buicks, Olds, Pontiacs, Cadillacs, they don't get as much love, but they're still desirable. I do want to show you guys one quick other car that I've got here. And if you see my buddy Felix right there, he must have seen a mouse or something hiding because he's just sitting there hanging out. This is a 1960 Pontiac Catalina convertible. And I got this thing for a donor for my 59 Impala convertible. But now the Catalinas and the Bonnevilles and Pontiac are the same body, the same length, all that good stuff as a Chevy. It's only the Buick 225 Electras, the Olds 98s, and all Cadillac. They are longer. So it just goes to show you, 59, 60, 61, through 64 GM. There's a lot of similarities in the convertible parts, but there's a lot of differences. If you're fixing a Chevy, you want a Pontiac for a donor car. If you're fixing a Buick Olds Cadillac, you need to know the length of the car because you'll be sadly mistaken when you buy quarter windows for a LeSabre and you're restoring a 225 because they're actually longer. So there's a lot of fun useless information for everyone. But yeah, these quarter windows on a 225 convertible, that's your length. They add it right there. And the top is also longer. So the top is 225 only, Olds 98 and Cadillac as well. So, kind of a fun video today. Not very exciting, but I love old cars. You guys love old cars. That's why we're watching and hanging out together. If you want to see more stuff like this, more cool finds that I rescue and bring home, make sure to subscribe. My hair is not looking very good, but whatever. Make sure to comment what you guys would do with this car. Would you restore it? Would you put an LS engine in it? Would you do a modern Buick engine? What would you do with this car if you had it? Maybe color combinations. I personally love the white and the blue, but I also really love black with red interior. So I don't know. It's a cool car. I'm just not gonna do anything with it. $9,500, title in my name. If you're interested, email me. I can get you a bunch of pictures. Floors are soft. It'll need some love in the quarters and the rockers, the trunk floors out of the car. But for a 58 to 64 GM convertible, it is a lot better than most. It just doesn't look like it. So with that being said, thanks to everyone for watching. I am hopefully going to be back here a little more often now that it's starting to warm up. Got some cool junkyards and some cool trips here planned this spring and summer. So stick around, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.